Okay, get ready to have your mind blown, because we're diving into a 3,500-year-old mystery that has stumped historians for ages. We're talking epic warriors, a lost civilization, and a single ancient poem that might just hold all the clues. This is the story of the Aryans.
Whoa, imagine hearing that on a battlefield. This one line, from a super old poem about a warhorse, is literally our first clue. It paints a picture of some seriously intimidating warriors.
So the big question is, who were these people? The answer isn't simple. It's a massive puzzle with missing pieces, a ton of conflicting clues, and, you won't believe this, a shocking plot twist. Let's solve it together.
Okay, so our first piece of evidence, it's an ancient collection of over 1,000 poems and hymns. And let me tell you, it's basically the only account we have of the early Aryans.
This collection is called the Rigveda. Sounds like the perfect starting point, right? A direct look into their world. Well, there's a pretty big catch.
Yeah, about that. Using this ancient poem as a history book, it comes with a massive, massive problem. You see, for hundreds, even thousands of years, the Rigveda wasn't written down. Nope, it was all spoken. Priests had to memorize over 1,000 hymns, passing them down word for word. I mean, what an incredible feat of memory. But for a historian, it's kind of a nightmare trying to figure out what's fact and what's legend.
And that brings us to the heart of our mystery. How do you solve a case when your main clue was passed down by word of mouth for centuries? How do we find out who the Aryans really were?
Well, historians have basically become detectives. And like any good detective story, we've got suspects. 3 totally different theories, each with its own take on who the Aryans were.
So let's get into it. Did the Aryans storm in as invaders? Did they just peacefully migrate? Or were they already there the whole time? Let's check out the evidence for each theory.
First up, theory number 1, the invasion. This is the action movie version, you know? Warriors on chariots, thundering across the land, conquering everyone in their path. Super dramatic.
Then we have theory number 2, the migration. This is the complete opposite. No big war, no drama. Just nomadic people slowly moving into new areas over hundreds of years, mixing their culture with the locals. Pretty chill.
And then there's theory number 3, out of India. This one flips the whole script. It says the Aryans didn't come from somewhere else at all. They were from India to begin with and actually spread out from there. Crazy, right?
Now, for a long time, that invasion theory was super popular. But you gotta ask, if there was a massive, violent conquest, where's the proof? Where are the burned-down cities and battlefields?
We can trace a possible migration route, starting from near the Black and Caspian Seas. But when archaeologists started digging for signs of a huge war, they didn't really find any. And that's where our story takes a really interesting turn.
And, wait for it, here comes the plot twist that basically changed everything we thought we knew.
Okay, check this out. For decades, the best evidence for a violent invasion was a bunch of skeletons found in the ruins of an ancient city. Everyone assumed they were victims of a massacre. Case closed. But it wasn't. Years later, scientists took another look and found no signs of violence. Turns out they most likely died from disease. Just like that, the main piece of evidence, poof, gone.
So, if there wasn't a big war, how did the Aryans manage to change things so much? Because, they definitely did. They brought a whole new way of organizing society that would change the region forever. They introduced this really strict social structure called the caste system. It had 4 main levels. At the very top, you had the Brahmins, who were the priests and scholars. Next were the Kshatriyas, the warriors and rulers. Below them were the Vaishyas, the merchants and farmers. And at the bottom, the Shudras, who were the laborers. This system became a huge part of society for thousands of years.
But it wasn't just about social rules. Their beliefs also led to some incredibly powerful new ideas. Ideas that would literally change the world and influence major religions for centuries to come.
2 of the biggest ideas were karma and reincarnation. You've probably heard of them. The basic idea is that your soul gets reborn after you die, and what you do in this life, your karma, decides what your next life will be like. This was a totally new way of thinking about life and death.
All right, that was a lot to take in. So let's do a super fast recap of this whole ancient mystery. Ready? Let's go.
Okay, here we go. It all started with an ancient war poem, but it was spoken, not written, creating a huge mystery. We've got 3 competing theories: invasion, migration, or out of India.
They brought a new society with a 4-part caste system, and their beliefs gave us huge ideas like karma.
And that's the wild story of the Aryans. If you love digging into history's biggest puzzles just like this one, do us a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with your friends.
So what do you think is the most surprising thing you learned today? Was it the spoken palms, the debunked skeletons, the whole out of India theory? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to know what you think.